Alrighty, I want to welcome to the show Molly Christensen. I'm super excited to have her on the show again. Molly has homeschooled her 7 amazing children, ages 8 to 25, for the past 19 years. She has an engineering degree from BYU, Brigham Young University, but since found great passion in mothering, teaching, and mentoring. She is also an entrepreneur and owns her own business called Building Heroes Academy, which provides training, mentoring, and curriculum to help parents raise heroes. She is passionate about encouraging and mentoring others in their life journeys. Welcome, Molly.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, I'm glad to have you back because I'm excited about the program that you're promoting. I'm excited about your philosophies and your strategies for helping homeschool families and families in general. I mean, even if you're not considering homeschooling, although right now a lot of families are, so this is very relevant that this message needs to be shared. So I love that your message is all about this idea of going from chaos to confidence, and that this is your and raising young heroes. Okay, so tell us a little bit more about that, and what is a place where does the chaos come from?
Where does the chaos come from?
Where does it not come from? No, it's a better question.
Well, chaos, I mean, that is an interesting question, but the reason why I wanted to frame this journey like this, from chaos to confidence, is because so many of us feel like we are in such chaos and unpredictability right now. And in fact, a lot of people will say, your mess is your message. And that's definitely my message. I was feeling pretty overwhelmed and chaotic at the beginning of my homeschool journey, but I've learned a few things along the way. And I know this can really help people learn how to become confident, but not perfect, because sometimes that's what we think the end goal has to be. So
I love that. Mm-hmm.
So chaos, where does that come from? And that feeling of overwhelm and feeling like, I don't know what I'm doing.
Like, forget this. Like, you keep seeing those memes right now with the teacher's been fired for drinking and the kids are expelled or something like that because of all these people in crisis schooling because of the pandemic, right? And they're right. It is total chaos.
Yeah, so people are just coping because they don't understand where this is all coming from. And so what I've noticed is that in our world, we all know this, our world is completely unpredictable. I mean, my daughter was getting married and we were trying to make plans for that, but it was a little tricky because who knew what was going to happen next,
Yeah, so, right. And planning a wedding in and of itself is crazy, let alone during a pandemic. Okay.
Right. But we made it happen and it all worked out fine. But it's the unpredictability that causes people to start feeling like they have no control over their lives anymore.
Yeah.
Okay. So it kind of all goes back to control. If we have some form of predictability, then we feel less chaotic, right?
Yeah.
So I think that sometimes too, when we get into things where we just don't know what's going to happen next, we have to consider, what can I control?
Yeah.
And what can I not control? And right now, we obviously cannot control the world.
Right.
But the thing is, we never could. We never could. So even before all this stuff came up, people were feeling overwhelmed as well because they didn't know what they could control in their own lives.
Okay. So this is an interesting topic to me in terms of like family culture, because I think that a lot of times the reason why people fall into their different norms and narratives and things like that is because that's something that feels normal. It feels, something that they can control in the sense of, well, this is predictable. This is something I can understand. It's something I can expect. I know how to react in a certain situation because that's how my family has always reacted. Or I'm always gonna model what my parents have modeled and can perpetuate the same narratives because that feels like it's something is safe to me and something I can control, And so that's how dysfunctional patterns continue and perpetuate. A lot of times it's because, okay, well, I'm just doing what feels natural to me because that's all I know. And it feels safe.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think too, the way sometimes the reason why we get overwhelmed is because we don't really have a clear picture of what we want or where we're going. And so when we fall back on the old patterns that don't serve us, like we may know we don't like those patterns, but we don't know a way to get out of them. When we fall back on those old patterns, it's because it is familiar and we can see it. And so when you have shifts and when you want to try to do something new, like homeschool or something, you
or
don't know
changing your whole family culture.
huh?
Say that last part again.
Sorry, you just don't know what to expect because it's not predictable to you.
Yeah. It's new. It's new territory. That's absolutely. I mean, that's something like if you don't have somebody else coaching you or modeling for you what homeschooling looks like, then it's like stabbing in the dark, right? Like that you are like, you know, and for me forging a new trail of our family culture journey, like my husband and I, our family, we are experiencing something so unique to our family dynamics that we really are like blazing a trail. And that can be really scary. And that's something in the entrepreneurial world too. Like we talk about, I talk about that as one of my favorite books is called Unscripted, you know, because we're so used to having a script. We're so used to having, okay, just give me the handbook on how to parent and I'll do it. Okay. Or give me the handbook on how to start a business. I'll do it. Give me a handbook of how to break these dysfunctional patterns. And I'll do it, which is great. As long as the resource is good, that's teaching you how to do that stuff. We all need somebody to mentor us and help us because we have to learn how to blaze a new trail, and doing it by ourselves is so scary.
It's not only so scary, but it also wastes a lot of time, a lot of energy, and and makes your life a big old roller coaster.
Yeah.
Now a roller coaster can be fun though, if you know, if that's what you planned on. You know, it does give you a thrill, but when you got this emotional roller coaster because you don't know where you're going and you don't know what you're doing,
right?
That's not so fun.
Yeah, well, that's the intentionality that I believe in. We need to work into our family culture. You know, like you could say up front, hey, guess what, family? I want to get together and we're going to discuss that we're about to venture out and be pioneers in a new experience, and it's going to be an experiment. Are you guys ready to experiment and face these ups and downs together? So right there, you're setting an intention up front that, okay, we're accepting chaos as the norm in a way and planning for that.
Yeah, and it is kind of interesting because in the world, there are opposites for everything. And we do have chaos and we also have order. And there's kind of a balance in between somewhere.
Somewhere.
If you have too much order, then nobody can learn and grow because everything is exactly the same. If we have too much chaos, nobody can learn and grow because
we're too much in scarcity and fear. That's really what happens, you know. If you can't think straight when you're in scarcity and fear.
But what's interesting is that there are actually patterns in chaos, and there are patterns in order, and there are patterns that we can follow in our own lives. So it's like this beautiful dance between predictability and unpredictability.
Yeah.
Like patterns will give us a guide, a framework, but then at the same time, there are going to be fun surprises along the way.
Yeah. I like that in, you know, when I talk about coping strategies or, you know, this idea that we need to be able to recognize the trauma and the stress and the chaos and have a space where you're able to cope with it and recover. That's another way to keep that balance is like, well, like it's normal. Like you said, there's oppositions. So we go to bed at night so we can recover from the stress of the day, even if it's good stress. You know, we have winter and then summer recovers from the winter season. And, you know, it's part of the natural order of things that we have that balance and that opposition. And it allows us to recover from those periods of chaos and confusion and fear. But what I've noticed is that so many people don't know how to do that. They don't know, like we stay in this space of chaos for so long that we just stay in trauma and scarcity and fear and unpredictability. So again, I want to, before we started recording, you know, you started talking about some of the things that we fall back on. that we're trying to like grasp at to get that order, to get that sense of control. And one of them was, you talked about finding, because I mean, I just said that we should seek out mentors, right? We should seek out people who know what they're doing. They've already blazed the trail. We don't need to reinvent the wheel, right? But you mentioned that that has also created a culture of only being able to trust experts. So what is the problem with that?
Yeah, so it's really interesting watching this whole worldwide pandemic right now, because there's so much fear in the media and in the air, with everything around this, because of what the experts are saying. And the experts are saying all these scary things, and everybody feels like, not everybody, but most people feel like we have to follow the experts, because this is really what our culture has been I don't know, shaped into. It's a place where we have to follow the experts. Now, I'm not saying that this pandemic is nothing. Certainly I'm not saying that, but the problem is that it is new, and not even the experts really know what to expect.
Yeah,
and
they don't really understand.
They are giving their opinions out as fact.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know if that's their intention or not, but they're giving it, that's how it's being taken, is as fact. And then the people are all following this, and it's almost like we're all just these sheep following this, and we're not even questioning. And now this is only a problem if we don't question and we don't learn to rely on our own intuition. Because the thing is, like, experts are great because they do have a lot of experience, which is why they're experts, right? But the best experts are going to be the ones that help guide you on your path and help guide you to know what's best for you and your family.
Right.
And I think that's part of the problem with our culture right now, is that we haven't really, we've kind of given up a lot of our own personal responsibility by relying on the experts and just saying, well, the expert said this, it didn't turn out so well, but it's their fault. So in a way, we can shift the load of blame off ourselves onto somebody else when we only follow the experts. But in order to truly be free people, we have to take personal responsibility for ourselves. And if we choose to do something, whether it's on the advice of an expert or not, it's us.
It's our choice. Yeah.
It's all us.
Because that's where the chaos and confusion, I think, comes in, is because everybody is claiming to be an expert and we're all conditioned to believe the expert, right? And so and that's where the confusion and chaos is escalated, is because now we don't know who to trust, and nobody is going, hey, maybe you should learn to trust yourself. Maybe you should learn how to just take on the responsibility of what you decide to do.
And maybe you should go poll 6 different experts and see what makes the most sense for you. I mean, chaos and it comes from confusion. And we have a lot of that going on right now. And confusion comes from not having clarity. And when you don't have clarity, you can't make decisions. And so you feel all overwhelmed.
Yeah. Wow. Well, that's so insightful in the sense of homeschooling, right? You want to be able to, there's a lot of people, there's a lot of philosophies, there's a lot of people claiming to be experts, and there's a lot of curriculum out there, and a lot of, methods, and, everything that's out there. And, some people might be like, well, I trust this one person, so I'm just going to go with that. And then you start practicing it, and then you're like, wait, this isn't working for our family. Now I'm lost again. This is confusing, and there's chaos. So so you talk about going from chaos to confidence. So where does that, one tip you just said was doing your research and taking responsibility and accountability. You mentioned having clarity. So where does the clarity come from? How do you cultivate that?
Yeah, so the clarity has to come from you making decisions, and you can't make decisions until you have figured out what you want, and you can't even decide what you want until you choose to believe that you are enough to take on this task in the first place. Mm-hmm. So I find that a lot of the problems that happen with homeschooling moms is that they feel overwhelmed because they feel like they're failing. And the reason why they feel like they're failing is because they don't think that they are doing a good enough job, which every single homeschool parent has been there.
Everyone in the world.
I'm pretty sure that's not even just homeschool specific, but I think it's probably more prevalent in homeschools because we take on the added responsibility.
The added responsibility and then, the added pressure. And I think, there's so much more pressure, I feel like, because it's on us and we can't blame teachers anymore.
Yeah, because we put the pressure on ourselves, because if our kids do not perform, then we failed. And then thus we must be a failure.
Right.
But that isn't truth, because human beings are going to mess up. See, I used to think when I was a young homeschool mom, I would think to myself, my gosh, why can't these kids just be perfect now? And when they turn 18, that's when they can start making their own decisions. If only they would just do everything like I wanted them to do. Now they'd turn out perfect, but that's not really how it works.
Yeah.
As any parent has learned.
They're their own person and they're going to make their own choices. And during that time as children is a perfect time for them to make those mistakes. So that's another thing. I feel like as parents, homeschool parents and parents in general, to just accept that. Just accept that. Again, this is that idea of being like, well, there's order in this chaos, because we need to just be like, okay, this is part of my child learning through experience and making mistakes, and then we learn together. I learned how to parent this child, and they learn from their mistakes. If you wait and you expect them to be perfect until they grow up, then it becomes more detrimental. There's more cost to that risk as they get older. So it's
absolutely
just make those mistakes.
Absolutely. And actually, I think I want to tell you this other big piece that really helps is knowing the pattern. And this is actually why I named my whole company Building Heroes, because there's the pattern of a hero journey that just is really the pattern of your life. And that is something that you can control, gives you more predictability, and gives you confidence when you can see that pattern in your life. You don't know everything on that path, but you can move through these things with confidence because you know it's supposed to be there. Like on the hero's journey, which you may or may not have heard, and I don't know if you want me to take the time to explain this now, but
I do have an earlier episode about it, and I think you might have mentioned it when you were on the podcast before, because it's such a big integral part of your brand. So, but you can summarize it if you'd like.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically the idea that people go on hero's journey, like their whole life is a hero journey. They do smaller hero's journey within a hero's journey of their life. And it basically is just the pattern that you see in every book, every movie, even in marketing. But it just shows a person who decides to act on something good and goes on a journey, hits obstacles, grows and learns and succeeds. Okay? Yeah. And that is the pattern for our lives. But the good news about that pattern is it shows us that when we do hit the glitches, when we do hit the obstacles, that's there for a reason.
They have a purpose.
Yeah, it's not just to trip us up and because God is angry at us or because we did something stupid, although that could be sometimes the reason why you get an obstacle. But it's not because you're bad. It's because it's what you need to learn and grow. So I do often call obstacles learning opportunities instead.
Yeah.
Bring that so I don't have to keep banging my head on the wall.
Yeah.
In front of me.
I saw Tom Bilyeu said failure is data. It's just information. And that's exactly what you're saying, is that to embrace these obstacles and these struggles instead of trying to avoid them. I think that a lot of times as parents, we think we're supposed to protect our kids or shelter them or, keep them from experiencing these struggles because we want to protect them. But in reality, we're sheltering them from growing, from that growth that is necessary to becoming the hero that they're meant to be.
Exactly. Yeah. And sorry, I interrupted you there, but yeah, they are meant to become this amazing person. They have so much potential, but I want to tie this back to the experts thing because experts tell us generally what to do, right? But our problem is it's really hard to navigate our own personal, individual journey if we don't know how to trust ourselves.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so if all we do is listen to the experts and we never learn to trust ourselves because we don't think we're good enough and we don't know how, or we're just not enough and we're worthless and we're failures, then it's just not going to work. And we're going to keep trying to go on the path that the experts tell us to, but it's not
Yeah.
our path. And we
Yeah.
won't feel fulfilled, and we're going to feel like we're in chaos. We're
Yeah.
going to feel confused. We're going to feel overwhelmed.
Isn't that ironic? Because it's like, I'm supposed to feel like order and peace because I'm following the expert and they're supposed to know. Right. But yet when that fails and we're going, what do we do? I mean, that's really a big chunk of my personal journey and story is like, Michael and I followed the experts. You're supposed to check off all the right boxes and go to the right schools, and then you'll have careers lined up for you because you have all the degrees and stuff. No, didn't work. And so now we're like, well, tear up that script. We got to figure out our own and write our own path. And like you said, we have to learn from, have our own the ability to discern for ourselves what's right for us, even if it's not part of like what people would say is a norm or traditional, or that's something that I think we hear on non-traditional, or we hear homeschool and we're going, oh no, that's not normal, that's out of the ordinary. That sounds like confusion and chaos. But actually, when you start listening to your own intuition and you start learning how to discern that voice of what you need, it's actually way more peaceful than if you're going, I don't know, should I do what the expert said? I don't know, I'm so confused, So it's really comes down to the more you learn to discern your own voice and the needs of you and your family, you have more peace.
Yeah, absolutely. You summarized that so nicely. And I think too, you brought up another important word that I didn't say earlier that I meant to, is overwhelm comes from not having focus.
Mm-hmm.
Right? We don't know what to focus on. And that's why so many people are overwhelmed today, because we don't know what to focus on.
Yeah.
Everybody's telling us something different. And that's why I'm saying, let's pull it back in. Let's trust our own intuition. If you're religious, there is one expert you can follow all the time, and that would be God.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But other than that, man is not all knowing. And man can only have their own opinions.
Yeah.
And it may or may not be right for you. So I'm not knocking experts, but
you're claiming to be one, so so am I. and that's good. You have this, but your expertise, what I love is that you want to empower people to follow their hero's journey. You're guiding them to and helping them to empower them on their own journeys. So
yeah, I absolutely do. And as an expert in that's what I want to do. I want to give you direction and guide you on your homeschool path, because I have been there and done that, but I don't want you to do exactly like what I did, because that's not going to be right for your family. I want you to take these patterns and use them in your family to create your own systems so that you can get the results that you want.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, Molly, I just love talking to you and sharing, hearing in your insights and your ideas. And but there's even more of this, right? You have this program that you're launching. So the 5-day homeschool chaos to confidence challenge. Tell us a little bit about that.
Okay. So this is a free challenge because as I've been pondering this world and seeing how crazy it is, like you have all seen as well, I'm like, you know what? Where are all the good people standing up for good? There's a few here and there, but they're getting drowned out by all the other voices of fear. And so I was like, homeschool moms have just enough rebel in them to maybe actually consider standing up for good. Mm-hmm. And yet at the same time, homeschool moms are also super overwhelmed.
Yeah, I
I
was gonna say it kind of burned out.
Yeah, kind of wonder if, they're being a little bit silenced here, because we need that kind of person to stand up for good and to be the hero on their hero's journey. But I'm afraid that most homeschool moms just cannot see how to add another thing into their life.
Yeah.
And so that's why I wanted to do this 5-day homeschool chaos to confidence challenge, because I wanted to go in more deeply with the hero journey, how you can apply this in your life and how you can use it as a paradigm shift to change things in your life, and how you can figure out how to get unstuck and how to get out of the overwhelm and how to get out of that chaos that's keeping you from using your voice. Because you know what? We need more heroes standing up for good in this world. We all see this right now. And we need people, these moms too, to build heroes in their own homes. That's what our kids need.
Yeah.
Yes. I don't know if it's going to get better after this. We all want it to go back to our old normal, but I'm not seeing that. I'm just seeing
I don't think so.
Crazier and crazier. And I'm like, we need people to stand up for good. And so that's why I started this challenge, and I started live on July 6th, but you can still get all the videos and watch it. And I mean,
awesome. So is it on your Facebook page or on your URL? Where can we find it?
That would be helpful. It's at theherobuildercourse.com. And that's how you can sign up for the challenge and to dive in a little deeper on this information. And don't think of it as just another thing to do, but think of it as a way to get out of the overwhelm and start living that life that you were meant to live, and teaching your kids to do the same. Yeah.
Awesome. That sounds so amazing, Molly. I'm excited about the challenge, and I'm really excited also because I've created a free membership area called the Family Success Toolbox, where my guests are contributing amazing tools and resources for families who want to be intentional about their family culture, including homeschooling. So can you tell us a little bit about the freebie that you're contributing to that membership?
Yeah, sure. I have an audio, which is called How to Fix the Kids, which you can probably imagine isn't so much about fixing them, but fixing you. And I don't even really mean fix. I just mean changing.
Right. Awesome.
So that's just a training that I had done previously, and I hope
it's awesome. Yeah, cool. So you can look for that inside of the Family Success Toolbox. You just need to go to homeandfamilyculture.com and get access to the toolbox from there. So that's how you can get Molly's freebie, How to Fix the Kids. And but look out for her challenge. July 6th is when it started, but you can still jump in. So make sure you look out for that.
It's at theherobuildercourse.com.
Theherobuildercourse.com. Yes.
Yep.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Molly. I always love having you on and talking to you. So thank you so much for being on the podcast again. And thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. I always enjoy it too, and hope this blesses the lives of all your listeners.